Dear students, this is lecture number 25 in supply chain management. Let us discuss the questions of the last lecture. The first question is differentiate between offshore and outsourcing. The offshore means moving the production itself to other countries to exploit the advantage of low manpower cost or tax advantage or due to demand in that particular place or various reasons, but the ownership is maintained by the same company. The outsourcing means giving the job to the third party to execute the job on behalf of the company. That is outsourcing. The second question is Apple company established its offshore in Ireland to exploit the advantage of what is the advantage in Ireland? That is lower tax in that particular country. Third one is name the first step in sourcing process. The first step in sourcing process is supplier scoring and assessment. Let us discuss the first step of sourcing process, supplier scoring and assessment. Supplier scoring and assessment is the process used to rate supplier performance because there are many suppliers for the same component or same service or same product. So we need to compare the suppliers based on their performance, of course, and also by the cost. Suppliers should be compared based on their impact on the supply chain surplus and the total cost. So we need to consider what will be the impact of each supplier on the supply chain surplus and total cost of the supply chain system. But unfortunately, sourcing decisions are often driven based solely on the price charged by a supplier. That is, mostly the suppliers are evaluated only by comparing the price what they charge for the particular service they provide. But this is not the better strategy. We have to consider many other supplier characteristics such as lead time, that is how much time they take to manufacture the product or to deliver the particular service. Reliability, quality and design capability also affect the total cost of doing business with a supplier. So we need to consider not only the cost or price charged by a supplier. In addition to that, we should consider the time taken by the supplier to supply the product or to deliver the particular service, and what is the reliability of that particular service or product we can get it from the suppliers. And quality in different dimensions of the particular product. It is based on the nature of the product or service provided by the supplier. And what is the design capability of the supplier? All these factors will have impact on the total cost of doing business with a supplier. A good supplier scoring and assessment process must identify and track performance along all dimensions and evaluate the impact on the total cost of using a supplier. So we need to establish a very good supplier scoring and assessment process. First step is we have to allocate scores for different factors what we have discussed in the previous slide for the suppliers. For example, we can consider the factors price charged by the supplier, lead time, reliability, quality, and other aspects. So in these factors itself, what we can do, how much score you allocate it depends on the nature of the business, nature of the product, etc. For example, in some cases, the higher score may be given to the lead time, or in some cases, if you want to account on cost, then we may give higher priority for the price charged by the supplier. In some scenario, based on the criticality of the product, we may allocate higher score for quality and reliability of the product. So like that, we need to allocate scores appropriately based on the nature of the product or nature of business, or for what type of product we are going to deliver to the customers. So all these things are playing a role in assigning the scores for different factors. Then each supplier will be evaluated based on scores allotted for each factor and what is the score of the particular supplier in that factor, and also the past performance in all these dimensions of the particular supplier, so that we can conclude the total impact of the particular supplier in the supply chain system. The next step in sourcing process is supplier selection. The supplier selection uses the output from the first step, that is supplier scoring and assessment. So based on the output from the first step, we can identify the appropriate suppliers. After identifying the appropriate suppliers, then a supply contract is to be established with the supplier after having any negotiations if required. Negotiation may take place in terms of reducing the price or increasing the quality or reducing the lead time. So like that, both the parties should agree the facts what need to be provided by the supplier to the particular company. A good contract should account for all factors that affect supply chain performance and should be designed to increase supply chain profits in a way that it benefits both the supplier and the buyer. A good contract should include all factors, whatever we consider it is having impact on the supply chain performance, so that both will have the clear understanding of the agreement and what is to be provided by the supplier. And also, it is to be designed in such a way that the profits of both the parties should increase and it should give benefits to both. Then only the business can sustain for longer time with the good benefits. So in business, we call this relationship as win-win relationship. That is, both should win in terms of various factors. The third step in sourcing process is design collaboration. Design collaboration allows the supplier and the manufacturer to work together when designing components for the final product. This is very much essential because the supplier is going to give the product which is only a part or subsystem of the final product which is manufactured by the particular manufacturer. So the product given by the supplier should have the compatibility, or we can call it as interoperability or whatever it is with the final product. So the design has to be done with the collaboration of both supplier and the manufacturer, so that the final product will be better in terms of quality and also reliability and of course the price also. The design collaboration also ensures that any changes in design are communicated effectively to all parties involved with designing and manufacturing the product. The manufacturer and suppliers collaboratively design the product so that any change in the design will be known by the people, those who are involved in the designing and manufacturing the product. The next step in sourcing process is the procurement. Procurement means purchase, actually getting the products from the supplier. So once the product has been designed by collaborating between the manufacturer and the suppliers, the next step is procurement. It is a process whereby the supplier sends the product in response to the orders placed by the manufacturer or buyer. So the goal of procurement is to enable orders to be placed and delivered on schedule, that is in time, at the lowest possible overall cost. So in procurement, we have to keep track of the quality of the products received and also the delivery time, that is how much time taken to deliver the products, and of course the cost. The final step in sourcing process is sourcing planning and analysis. It is to analyze spending across various suppliers and component categories to identify opportunities for decreasing the total cost. The sourcing process does not end with the procurement. The final step, sourcing planning and analysis, this is very important because we need to analyze how much we spend for various suppliers for different components. What is the use of this step is to identify, is there any chance or opportunity for decreasing the total cost. Then only the company can compete with other companies in terms of cost. It is providing products at the lower cost. So every manufacturer will aim in reducing the total cost so that it can beat the competitors or it can overtake the competitors in terms of giving the final product in the least cost. Moreover, cost of goods sold represents well over 50% of sales for most major manufacturers. That means the cost of goods covers almost 50% of sales. So within this cost of goods sold, purchased parts are now much higher fraction. That is, within this, most of the parts are we are receiving it from the suppliers. That means the manufacturer are getting the parts from the suppliers, and of course they need to pay for supplies also. That is what happening in these decades. So we have to carefully evaluate the sourcing process so that both supplier and manufacturer benefit out of this, and also is there any opportunity for decreasing the total cost so that the manufacturer can sustain in this market by providing products in the lower cost. We have discussed the sourcing process and the activities involved in that particular sourcing process. Now we'll see what are the benefits of the effective sourcing process, because the effective sourcing process in a firm or company can improve the profits of the firm and also the total supply chain surplus in various ways. So we need to consider the drivers of improved profits are clearly identified when we make the decisions on sourcing. So some of the benefits from effective sourcing decisions are: the first one, better economies of scale can be achieved if orders within a firm are aggregated. So we already seen the word economies of scale means the products in bulk. So if you aggregate the orders for a particular product in a firm, so that we can give the order in bulk to the particular supplier, so that both supplier will also benefit from this order, and finally the manufacturer will also get the products at a lower cost. Because as you increase the production of uh, products in number, certainly the cost will also be reduced. That is, if you produce 10,000 products instead of 2,000 products, certainly the cost will be reduced when compared to 2,000 products. That is, if you manufacture or purchase products in bulk, the cost will be reduced. The next point is more efficient procurement transactions can significantly reduce the overall cost of purchasing. Particularly, this is important for items with a large number of low value transactions. So, when we go for the large number of products with low value, so we have to evaluate the cost of purchasing so that we can have the better transaction at a lower cost. Products are designed collaboratively between the manufacturer and supplier, so that it is very easy to manufacture and distribute, which will result in lower overall cost. This factor, that is design collaboration, is very much important for the components which contributes for maximum value or significant amount to the product cost and value. The next one is good procurement process can facilitate coordination with the supplier and improve forecasting and planning. If we establish a systematic procedure in procurement process, which will make the manufacturer and supplier to forecast and plan for the future, so that it results in better coordination, which will cause the lower inventories, and also we can improve the matching of supply and demand. The next point is appropriate supplier contracts. So the supplier contract should be established by covering all the issues and facts of the particular product, so that both will share the risk, and also it will result in higher profits for both supplier and manufacturer or buyer. The last one is firms can achieve a lower purchase price by increasing competition through the use of actions. That means firms can release a action notice. That is, we need a supplier for this kind of products, so that so more and more suppliers will be included in the process, so that finally the firms can achieve the lower purchase price with a better quality. Students, answer for these questions. Students, answer for these questions.